have an update. I finished A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, and my rating is a 3-star, okay? I was liking it in the beginning, and then it really fell apart in the second half for me. I just wasn't interested anymore. But then the ending was good. So it would have been probably a 2-star if it hadn't been for the strong beginning and the strong ending. That's pretty much it. Also, the fact that Stephen King blurbed that book and said something along the lines, let me go get the book actually. A Head Full of Ghosts scared the living hell out of me and I'm pretty hard to scare. Sir, you must be pretty easy to scare, because this is not scary. It did not scare me at all. You write horror books for a living, Mr. King. Okay, get it together. So I think next I'm gonna focus on Exquisite Corpse, just because I do have to finish all of my Spooky Smart Bitch books before midnight tonight, or before I go to bed. I mean, is the day really over until you fall asleep? I don't know. So I'm gonna read Exquisite Corpse next, and hopefully I like it. I have yet to find a book for Spooky Smart Bitch that I actually enjoyed. So, Exquisite Corpse, please come through. So, some decisions were made. Some not so great decisions. I just took a freaking 4-hour nap, even though I have so many more prompts to complete. And I think that's why I took a nap, because I was like, I'm overwhelmed, so let me just... But that's not the best solution to anything, honestly. Sorry, my hair looks a little crazy. Yeah, anyway. I did start Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright, and I got to page 29, but I don't think that I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm not going to be able to read this as quickly as I want to, and I don't want to rush it. So I think I'm not going to read this right now, and I'm going to try to squeeze in 1 or 2 novellas for the last freaking few hours that I have. It is 6:15 p.m. and yes, I am going to count my time as before I go to sleep, but I do need to go to sleep at a decent time. So, that being said, I'm just gonna try to squeeze in 2 novellas that check off the most prompts possible, and then see where that gets me. So now it's just a race to finish the prompts. But yes, Exquisite Corpse, I am liking it. But I'm gonna go do some research now to see which novellas I can read for which prompts and all of that. But wish me luck. I don't know why I chose to sleep for that long. Bye. I'm so confused. What did I just read? I know you can barely see me, but it's fine. You don't need to see me to know that I don't know what the heck I just read. Ew. That is fucked. Ew. No way. This is stressful. Very stressful. What the fuck was that? Give me a minute to process this. Hi. So I just finished reading Lovesick by John Athen, and that was a ride. I was reading it for the splatterpunk horror prompt, and it delivered. Let me just say that right off the bat. And also 5 stars. The only book I've read for Spooky Smart Bitch that, first of all, I liked, and second of all, that I gave 5 stars. Earlier, oh wait, I guess I should tell you what it's about. So it's pretty short, it's just under 200 pages, so the only thing I feel like you should go in knowing is that this guy is basically, he's in a car with a sex worker, and he's like, I do not want to pay you to have sex with me. I want to pay you for a vial of your blood. And it goes haywire from there. Like, you just have to read it. You have to read it. It gets gross, very gross, as you saw from my reactions, but damn was it good. Right before that, I was reading The Elvis Room by Stephen Graham Jones. You know that I freaking love Elvis, so I felt like it was only fitting that that would be the book I would read. I don't remember how long it was, but it wasn't that long, and it's by Stephen Graham Jones, so checking off that BIPOC author prompt. But like, did I like it? Not really. Did I really understand what was going on? Not really, but I don't really know what I want my rating to be, because is it just me, or like, did I just not understand what was going on? That's what I can't decide. But I think I am gonna give it 2 stars, just because it wasn't what I wanted, and it wasn't scary either. If I really hadn't understood it, but it was still scary, then it might have gotten a 3 star. But it just wasn't much of anything. And I think I was just excited because Elvis was in the title, let's be honest. It didn't take me that long to read, so I'm not too mad at it, but like, slap a 2 star on it and call it a day. But I think that about wraps up all the books that I'm gonna read for Spooky Smart Bitch. I don't think I'm gonna go over all of the books right now that I read and all the prompts that I read the books for. I should probably do that in the morning when the lighting is better, and also maybe when I'm looking better, fingers crossed. But I'm signing off for the night, so I will see you guys in the morning. Hi. So I thought I would go ahead and wrap up all of my reading for the Spooky Smart Bitch readathon, tell you what I read, what I rated it, my overall thoughts, all that kind of stuff. So let's just get into it. I have them screenshotted. Where did I put them? Okay, so for horror by a BIPOC author, I read The Elvis Room by Stephen Graham Jones, and I ended up giving this book a 2 star. I didn't like it. It was very, very short, so I think that's the only reason it's not getting a 1 star. I think I need to try to read a Stephen Graham Jones book that is full length, because his novellas are very hit or miss for me, and this was definitely a miss. And then for a horror featuring a possession / demonic haunting, I read Mary by Nat Cassidy. This was also a miss. I gave this book a 2 star. I was really hoping to like it. It was a 5 star prediction, but it just missed the mark. It was way too long, way too wordy. The plot went everywhere. I just don't even know why it did what it did. If it had ended at a certain part, then I would have liked it more. Not saying it would have been great, but I probably would have given it a 3.5 star. But just the fact that it kept going and got, in my opinion, worse and worse as we kept going, it's getting a 2 star. Sorry, Nat Cassidy, if you're watching this. And then for the prompt of your favorite horror trope, I read A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. The only other book I've read from Paul Tremblay is, I can't even say that I read it because I DNF'd it 3 times, and that book is The Cabin at the End of the World. So I was very hesitant to pick this book up, but I've only heard good things about it. That's why I picked it up. Psychological horror is my favorite within the horror genre, so that's why I went for it. But this was another miss. I gave this book 3 stars, which is the highest so far. But yeah, so I gave this book a 3 star, and it was fine. I was really liking it in the first half, but it lost me in the second half. But I did really like the ending. All misses, no hits so far. Yikes. And then the next prompt, horror written by a trans author, I read The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. This was another miss. I hate to say it. I gave this book 2 stars also. It was a fever dream, honestly. I listened to the audiobook on Scribd, and per my last video when I was saying I was having problems with Ring Shout on Scribd, and a lot of people seem to be having the same issue, so it wasn't just that audiobook, but I want to clarify that that wasn't the only reason that I DNF'd the book, was because the audiobook kept cutting in and out. Like, I just honestly did not like the contents of the book to begin with. Where was I? What was I saying? I listened to this book on Scribd and had 0 issues with the audio cutting in and out or there being long pauses or whatever, but I just didn't end up liking the book overall. It's cosmic horror, which is hit or miss for most people. All of the cosmic horror that I've read, I've really liked, except for this one, so I don't really know where it went wrong, but it just couldn't hold my attention and I didn't enjoy my time reading it. That's all I can say. And then the last prompt, a splatterpunk horror, I read Lovesick by Brian Athan, and oh my god, this was the only hit of the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon for me. I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Well, enjoy is like a bad word to say for it, but I really was engaged the entire time reading this book, and I'm just glad that I had one book that I liked out of all of these. Lovesick is just extreme horror. It's great. It's gritty, it goes there, it's gross, it's everything you want and more, and it's not too long either, so I would definitely recommend it. But if you have a weak stomach, don't read it. If you don't like gore, don't read it. If you don't like disturbing situations, don't read it. But if you are as fucked up as me, I guess, then go ahead and give it a read and you'll probably like it just as much as I did. And I read this because I had heard McKay from McKay's book vlogs talk about it and rave about it. So McKay, you really came through with the book recommendation. You were not lying when you said this book was good. But yeah, that wraps up my Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon reads. And now let's get back into my dark romance readathon reads. Okay, so I am 88% into Moonstruck now, and they're on a mission, and I could care less. I want it to be heavier on the romance than the mafia. This one has definitely done that, where it's heavier on mafia, where the other two were heavier on the romance. So this will be my least favorite of the series, purely because I don't care about the mission. seeing you here. Hello. I am 50% into King of Flesh and Bone now. I would DNF if it wasn't for this freaking readathon. I have it in me that I need to black out this board, and I'm gonna do it. So I have to finish this godforsaken book. This book is so bad, like actually so terrible, but I'm gonna finish it. My Kindle is now dying, so I'm gonna have to read it on my phone. I have work in the morning. I have to wake up 5:30 and it's midnight, but I'm going to finish this before I go to sleep. I must. I'll update you when I have finished it. Well, not like right when I finish it, but I'll update you tomorrow to talk about my final thoughts and close out this vlog. See you then. Hello, I'm here with my final update for this vlog and to wrap up my dark romance readathon reads, how it went, all that kind of stuff. Let's just get into it. For the prompt of a masked character, I read Scream for Us by Molly Doyle, which I loved. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it just as much as Melt for Us by Molly Doyle, which I actually happened to read first. I read that in December of last year. It's the same characters, but this one is centered around Halloween because it takes place at a Halloween party, and then Melt for Us is around Christmas time, so there's some Santa hats involved. But if you've read one, I would recommend the other. The vibes are immaculate, the smut is great, it's just a fun, fast time. 5 stars. And then for Captor Captive and Gothic setting, I read King of Flesh and Bone. I did finish it last night. I gave that bitch 1 star. Like I said in the clip before this, I would have DNF'd if I weren't reading it for this readathon. I was already more than halfway in. I just needed to be able to count it towards the readathon. So I powered through. It was not good. It wasn't written very well either. The smut wasn't hot. Like, there was nothing redeemable about this book. Usually I'm all in for toxic characters, a toxic male main character, and Enosh just didn't deliver. He didn't give daddy vibes. He did not serve kinky. He did not give what needed to be gave. And Ada kind of just gave in to him way too easily. I mean, I know that he held power over her, literally, but it wasn't good. If you want to read it, go ahead and read it. I'm not gonna stop you, but just know going in that it's not gonna blow your mind unless you don't read things like this normally. Not that I read paranormal fantasy romance with smut ever, but if you read dark romance regularly, then this might not be your cup of tea either. I can read out some quotes to you that just really encapsulate what this book is all about. So long since I'd had a warm quim tighten around my and milk this for me. Do you deserve that, little one? My flesh pounding into yours until you come apart on my length? Or another one. Swallow me down, my little one, he rasped. Such a good girl. Spread it across your gums and learn the taste of my I'd rather have you sard all my holes than take pleasure from the mouth of the devil. Or this one. Gradually the hunger at my core roared into something ravenous, as did my disgust, mostly for myself. No, I couldn't possibly enjoy the demon's up my arse. That's so funny to me. The first time they have sex, he, you know, puts it in her butt, and it's an odd choice, to say the least, but it was a choice nonetheless. If this seems like your type of book, go for it, but it's a no from me, dog. Moving on. And then for the prompt of Reverse Harem and Taboo, I read Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. This book was chef's kiss. The end, I was shook. It's set at this haunted amusement park, a traveling haunted amusement park, and the cast of characters, the men, the costumes, a clown gets down in this book. Sibby was a badass and I loved her so much. Definitely recommend. 5 stars. Oh, and also it was very, very hot. I've said before, and I'll say it again, that Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton is the hottest book I've ever read. H.D. Carlton really knows how to write smut scenes to a T. It's an art for her at this point. That's what I'm convinced of. And then for the prompt of trigger warning, I read Moonstruck by Onley James, which is the 3rd book in the Necessary Evils series. I also did read Psycho, which I'll talk about in a second, but Moonstruck was my least favorite out of all 3 that I've read thus far. I mean, obviously there's killing involved in all of them, and revenge and whatever, but this one was, let's go into detail about the operation that's about to go down, and I just did not care. But I'm gonna give it a 4 star because I did really like it. It was just those parts that I didn't like. That makes sense, right? And then for the prompts of serial killer and LGBTQ+, I read Psycho, the 2nd book in the Necessary Evil series, which I think is my favorite out of all 3. I just love Lucas and August so freaking much. Just pair together a freaking clairvoyant with a psychopath and you have a match made in heaven. I was living for their romance. Just the way that they helped each other out and the way that they comforted each other at every turn, it just sent my soul into overdrive. I was live, laugh, loving for their love. But yeah, I think it goes without saying, I gave that book 5 stars. That wraps up all of the books that I read for the Dark Romance Readathon. Yeah, this was a great week, a great reading week. All in all, I read 10 books this week. I read 5 books for the Dark Romance Readathon and 5 books for Spooky Smart Bitch. I would say that's pretty damn good. But it's not about how many books you read, it's about the quality of the books you read. And yes, a lot of these were duds, but I did find a few new faves. That's all that matters. I love you all so, so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!